All right, guys. Shane Holst tractor finally made it. It's been in here for several days, but I mean, it finally got in the shop. I've been waiting, so there was another tractor here. I've been fixing the tractor, kind of tinkering around with the tractor for what I could outside. And so when it showed up, the steering was kind of hit and miss. 3-point wasn't even close to working. There were several hot spots. And so at first I jinxed it because I celebrated too early, because I told Shane, like, man, everything's responding as I fix it. This thing's going to never make it into the shop. It's just going to be on the truck before the tractor that we're waiting to get out gets out. And he's like, great news. Glad to hear it. And so when it got here, the steering wasn't working, 3-point. And now the steering spot on, 3-point right up, no chatter, no nothing. And then 3-point wouldn't go down if the engine was running. And there was I fixed a couple other howls and hisses of high pressure, working my way back to the 3-point valve. And on the 3-point valve, there's a big valve up here. We'll get to it. But that thing was just howling with oil. And that's not good. That's not good. We could have a great conversation of the 4850. Who as a young adolescent boy, you did not need the Sears catalog if you had the 50 series firepower brochure. Oh, my Lanta, put me to sleep many nights dreaming about a 4850. What a gorgeous tractor. What a fun time in farming. Deere went from the 40 series to the 50 series. And look at, you went from the 8-speed to the 15-speed, added the mechanical front wheel assist for our German friends out there. In the old U.S., we didn't get a true mechanical front until the 50 series. The Germans had it on some of the small frame 40 series, on the German model 40 series, like your 2940s. But yeah, you went to the 50 series. There's a little better insulation in the cab, different, the vents up on top, a little better cowling. They went away from them steel to a nice fabric, a better dash, a lot of little improvements, a little more better hydraulic capacity. A lot of, from the road, they look the same, a rounded nose and stacks in your vision. But there's a lot of little refinements throughout the whole tractor, and just made them gorgeous. Ford had jumped chassis. They made a big step in chassis. Same with Case, with the Magnums, through the generations there. White had their Workhorse series. We were towards the end of the White tractor being produced. We didn't know it at the time, but, the White Workhorse series, what a beautiful tractor they were. What a fun time back then. But anyhow, so I got the valve off here, and so up here is where it was just howling. And so on these tractors, they're a little bit different. So you got load sense. So you have a hydraulic cylinder over here. I got gabbing, and I got to this side. But there's a hydraulic cylinder. Let me turn my light on. See that cylinder with the spring? That is your load sense. So that replaces, that cylinder right there replaces this mechanical cast on your small chassis. Both tractors still have the load shaft running through the drawbar and the 3-point bracketry, or this big casting. But when this load shaft flexes, it moves this casting back and forth, and this finger moves valving. On the big case tractors, your 4640 and up, that hydraulic cylinder sitting right there, as this load shaft gets flexed, that cylinder gets moved, and that changes that hydraulic sensing. So it's hydraulic draft sensing. And that is plumbed into here and here. And I've had that cylinder leak on other tractors, and the guys are like, you know what? We don't even use the 3-point anymore. Just terminate it. So I've capped them off, and it's worked really well. On Shane's tractor, it did not work. In fact, this little orifice was plugged. There's a filter in here that is melted. We'll eventually get that out. And this valve has turned color. It got so hot, and then this filter is melted on this screen. And so it's melted in several spots. So we're probably going to have to get this spool valve because it's not even O-rings inside here. It's a tolerance fit. And with that much heat and damage going on, we should probably replace that valve. And that valve, here's that arm, just like you had over there. Except that hydraulic pushes up in here. And with this valve on the table, we can do a bunch of air checks. You know, you push air here, push air here, push air here, push air here. This bolt's on the end right here. Push air there. And then if you do hear any leaks, you kind of pay attention where the leaks are from, and the book will help you tell you, oh, it's this flow control valve. That's the flow control valve right here, and the shim pack, and it sits up in here, and that's where it was just howling because your pressure oil comes in, and your pressure oil comes in here, and then your return flow from your SCV stack and the 3-point goes here back to sump. And then you've got your draft control, that lever down by your hip, that minimum maximum, that's this lever right here. And that just changes how it rides on that finger. But everything in here looks pretty good. And then here's your lever for moving the valves. And so it, you know, in this era, the John Deere engineers, I think sometimes they did stuff just to show off how smart they were, because you could have gone to Versatile or Steiger where they had a $10 spool valve and external cylinders to just lift a 3-point and lower a 3-point. Not that complicated. Why on earth we have to go through this ordeal, it is beyond me. Yeah, whatever. So hopefully we can get some progress made on that hitch control system and get Shane a working tractor back sooner than later. I don't like our turnaround rate here. This poor tractor, we waited 3 weeks for parts, and the wrong ones came. And we do not blame the parts guys at all, because the parts guys, you know, on that ordeal, it was a used thing, so you had a series of people involved, and so you get one guy like, I think it's the same, ship it, you know. The biggest thing has been shipping. You'd call St. Cloud Ziegler, day shift you get John or Jeff, night shift you get Rudy, and they'd be like, yep, we're going to throw it on the speedy truck. It'd go out that night. So if I called on a Monday or Monday evening, I would have the part Tuesday afternoon. Now, with anything speedy coming, God help you. They'll be like, yep, we'll get that out to you right away. 5-6 days later, instead of the next day, it is 5 or 6 days later. They're just sitting in the warehouse because the warehouse doesn't have enough people. Another bad thing that's happening is, so you get a big box of parts in, and either a couple things are missing, so then you got to call the parts guys, and you got to go through everything. Like, yes, it was on the list, it was ordered, it just didn't show up, and then they have to chase that down. Or, like this is 8290 bearing. The box will be right, but the bearing inside will be wrong. So then you got to go to the parts guy and be like, hey, the right box came, but the wrong bearing is inside. And then they have to go through their channels. And so the parts guys are getting more bogged down with dealing of that kind of stuff than just getting your orders placed. So they're behind. It's just a miserable mess. And what we normally do on a big parts order like that is we'll normally stock order the stuff in. So instead of next day or 2 day, we'll be like, no, just stock order it. Because you could, if you're saving the customer several $100s on a project, hey, yeah, let's wait 3 days. Like that is, I'm getting, you're saving $100 a day to wait for the next stock order to come in, kind of deal. It's not always that much, but on a bigger order, that's a lot of money. Or if you get several projects at once, you just, hey, bring everything on a stock order and we'll come down and pick it up. Just delay after delay after delay. But we're trying, and it's slow. Thank goodness we got a lot of stalls. I need to do a thank you video for everybody that helped put this shop together, you know, from the concrete guys and electrical and the building itself. Everybody did a fantastic job. Everything turned out perfect. The shop is doing what it's supposed to do as far as, oh, look at that M. Look at that. Look at that Super M. If that ain't a showpiece right there, huh? That is a gorgeous, gorgeous tractor. But everybody did a fantastic job on the shop, so we need to thank everybody for that. And so I should do a video on that too. And there's a million crop videos I wanted to get done this spring, but I'm just floundering around. I'm just trying to figure this thing called life out. So yeah, there's your video, and I'm out of here.